Hello and welcome. I am recording this video because I made an astounding discovery this morning. I have a large painting in my bedroom which I haven't yet felt I've completed, and part of the lack of completion has been the naming of it. And suddenly this morning what came to mind was it was pregnancy. And there's a bit of a history behind this, and I'll explain it. But the reason I wanted to do this video is to relate to you how a painting, and this was done in an intuitive way, this particular painting, how it can have meaning that is not visible at the time that you make it, and then that gradually unfolds and opens out. And that has absolutely been the case with this particular painting. So if you're looking at the, looking at this on Facebook or in the Soul Adventure program portal, there'll be a picture of this painting, but I'm also going to show it. I'll do my best anyway to share it on this, and we'll see what comes. So what I'd like to do is just share the screen. My name is Iris Whitelock, by the way, and I have a practice where I use art therapy in a coaching context in a business called Art of Life Coaching, and it's work I absolutely love to do. And I have occasions like this which are really surprising, where I suddenly realize, wow, that's what all this means, and it goes to a really deep level. Have to tell you quickly as well, this morning I put on my little wise owl earrings, and I always think of them as being my intuition, something, a little birdie talks to me and I can hear it, and that seems to have been borne out today. So let's see if I can share this picture now. Share screen. So it says I'm screen sharing, so let's hope that's right. Okay, so this is the painting that I started years ago. It was actually, oddly enough, on the day my mother died. I'd already booked into this painting course that I was doing with the fabulous Dawn Meader. If any of you have worked with her in Western Australia, she's just an amazing art teacher, and it just opens up the non-visible, the spiritual, if you like. So what we were asked to do was to draw a tree that had meaning for us. And I've always loved baobab trees, or boabs as they call them in Australia. So this tree just kind of happened. It kind of grew as I painted it. Dawn gave us some instructions on how to do the background part of the sunset colors, and I wanted water in mine, so I've got that layer of water. And over the years, because I put these things in without having any real kind of understanding of the meaning for them or whatever, but what I now see is the embodiment, if you like, in this pregnant tree of heart, body, mind, and soul, which are the areas that I'm going to be incorporating into the Soul Adventure course that we'll be going on. So as you can tell from the title, Soul Adventure, it's about the soul, and it's about the soul's journey through life. And this particular painting has all these kind of aspects of it incorporated in there. So for example, if you look down where the hands are holding, that is the soul. That is the heart. Well, no, the soul, the absolute core of the growth of that tree. So it also is a kind of a spring. It's the energy in those white lines comes from the roots and goes up, and it also flows down. So it's a two-way exchange of energy in there. I've got one hand which is dark skinned and the other hand that is pale skinned. And my daughter asked me about that one day, and I said, well, I think the dark skin it's a kind of homage to Africa. Having grown up there was so much that I valued about being in that place. And also India, which was a huge spiritual opening for me when I went there. So that's the soul. And then down here we have the egret, which is a sacred bird, and a nest of golden eggs. And that is about potential. That's about, yes, what will happen when those ideas, if you like, hatch out. I've got a few other things in there too, like these reeds in the water. Reeds have a cleansing effect in water. They're a very good sifting plant for getting rid of nasty bacteria and things. They keep the water healthy. So that was a really, that again was something that didn't really suggest itself very clearly to me at the time that I was doing the painting, but that's what's in there. There's also the roots of the tree. Now this was interesting because when I was painting it, Dawn said, your tree looks like it's floating. Do you want it to be grounded? So I did a bit of grounding, but not completely. Though there's some roots that have gone down into the ground, and there are others, and so those roots have gone down into the mud, like the lotus lily. You get the beautiful lotus lily, but it's actually rooted in the mud and the slime at the bottom of the watercourse. So yes, whatever you want to make of that, there's that in it. Now the mountains and the sunrise and the pathway, which is up a river into the mountains, that's kind of like following through to the source. These pink flowers are from I don't know the botanical name of it, but it's a tree that grows in the hot and dry, and also, yeah, hot and dry area on the border of Zimbabwe and South Africa. And it's grown in quite a few gardens, and I've seen it in some gardens here in Perth in Western Australia. And it's called the Sabi star. And for some reason, this particular picture or flower suggested itself to me, and that's probably to do with me having grown up in that part of the world. The tendrils, plants growing, there's a very strong symbolism for me, plants growing, flowering, and sort of reaching out into the future. A chameleon. Chameleons are a favorite animal of mine from when I was a kid. I used to watch, we had a bougainvillea bush in the garden that had a lot of baby chameleons in there, and I was just totally fascinated by them. And you know, later on when I came across some of the fully grown ones, just how amazing they were. And if you disturbed them, they would turn black and hiss. And they were quite ferocious. So yeah, kept well away from those jaws. But they're quite fascinating animals, just the way they change color. And for me, that had a sense, sort of an ambivalent sense there of, on the one hand, being able to fit in really easily in a number of different situations, with people, without people. I'm quite content to have people around me, and I love having my own space as well. So the thing of adapting to different cultures and different places and people was sort of embodied in that chameleon there. Over here, the eye is crying gold. And to me, that's symbolic of how vulnerability is just such a valuable part of who we are as human beings. And then up here, we have this little sort of acorn house. that's shining light out, and I'm not really sure what that's about. You see, one of the things about art therapy and in doing intuitive art is that meanings suggest themselves. They're not always conscious, and so yeah, I knew I needed to have the light shining out, but I actually wanted the light to go further, and I couldn't quite figure out how to do that. But that doesn't matter. That's what we've got here. So when this painting is quite large. It's about 2 meters tall, and it's propped up in my bedroom on a board. And when I look at it from an angle, these two heart-shaped leaves look like kangaroo eyes, and the nose and the ear. So it looks like a kangaroo, which is quite interesting too, because that's where that's the symbol, one of the national symbols of Australia. So it's kind of nice to have this thing, the shape in there. So that's sort of a rundown of the interpretation that I bring to this particular painting, and why it has been so important for me. And it's not just depicted what was happening at the time, which was this huge potential, this great big pregnancy of heart, body, mind, and soul expressing itself in the world. This was 2015 when I painted it. I still hadn't finished it in 2017, and now it's 2023, and I've only just realized what the name is for this painting. So it's heart, body, mind, and soul pregnancy. So yeah, so a huge amount has happened. And I remember when we did this workshop, Dawn said more will come out of these paintings than you can ever imagine. So that's yeah, this is the first time I've thought of kind of analyzing it, interpreting it in a way sort of openly to other people, being visible about it. And that is significant too, because in running Soul Adventure, I am exposing, opening up a part of me, the spiritual aspect of myself that I have kept very much under wraps for fear of, whatever we usually are afraid of. People being critical and rejecting me because of the way I'm doing this. It's not a particularly standard, traditional way of addressing spirituality, I guess. I'm hoping that if you are going to be coming on the Soul Adventure course, the program with me, that we will have some way of connecting in terms of the understanding that we have about art and what it can do for us and how it can express us. So I'm just going to check my notes to see if I've missed anything, because I wanted to be able to do this off the cuff and not with notes, but there are a couple of things that I really wanted to make sure I mentioned. Okay. Yeah, so I think I've covered everything. And so this is just introducing you to how art, intuitive art, can actually be predictive for the future and useful in the present as well, because there's certainly this part here, especially in the present, was very useful for me it was in the present, but it was actually about journeys I've made in the past. And this part especially, I didn't understand. But I knew it was, you see, that's actually a vulva shape as well. So it was like the fountain and the core and the essence of me and soul. And if you look closely, I don't know if we can get a close up on that, but it's I'll just try. It can also be the shape of a person, an angel, something. So it's my guiding my guidance. Okay, so that's basically just a little insight into how a painting can have meaning through so many different layers. I hope that's been insightful and useful for you. Thank you. Bye-bye.